Now, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The first two are relatively easy to access in modern America. But how do you make yourself happy? Bookstores, of course, are full of self-help books designed to unlock the secret of happiness. But maybe the one thing it takes is the one thing we've always been told isn't necessary. John Donvan reports.
What is happiness?
Wonderful wife, great kids, nice family.
Moving back here, new job.
Making people happy.
Buying a house, selling a house.
Business is great.
Things I don't worry about when I was 30.
Well, scientists seem to agree that you can tell people are happy when they are smiling and laughing. Surveys show that Americans are happiest the day they get married, the day their children are born, the day their kids graduate from college.
It's a good time in my life right now.
Happiness, say the experts, means that you are satisfied with your life. But how do you get that way? Is it stuff, the latest iPod, a fancy car, a mansion in the suburbs?
Americans today are happier than Americans 100 years ago.
Betsey Stevenson says she is a happy person, and she is an expert on the topic with a PhD, a Harvard-trained economist who teaches at Penn, and today she is happily presenting her research here. The 2008 World Congress on National Accounts and Economic Performance Measures for Nations, a title that says nothing about happiness, but she's about to say something radical in the world of economics, in fact, something downright revolutionary.
The rich are happier than the poor.
Yes, that is a radical thought, that in wealthier countries the people are happier. The rich happier than the poor, doesn't that seem obvious? But for nearly 40 years, most economists have thought otherwise. They've been stuck on the opposite thought, thanks to Richard Easterlin. In the 1970s, he studied surveys of people from all over the world and then declared that despite what you might think, people who lived in countries with big economic booms like Japan and the United States were not more satisfied with their lives. Even when countries got richer, the people in them did not get happier. Here in the U.S., hippies living in communes were just as happy as rich folks living in gated communities. The Easterlin paradox, it is called, and it can be summed up by this simple phrase: money can't buy happiness. But Betsey Stevenson ain't buying that.
What we see in the data is that people with $150,000 a year of income are more than twice as likely to say that they're very happy compared to people who are in the bottom 10% of the income
And that's
distribution.
Americans, or that's around the world?
That's Americans.
Betsey and her fellow researcher Justin Wolfers looked at all of the data all over again and added in new surveys and discovered,
The very wealthy in a poor country aren't as happy as the very wealthy in a rich country.
money can buy happiness, Betsey explained as we talked in the Washington suburb of Chevy Chase, Maryland, where the median household income is more than $200,000 a year. What is your gauge of happiness? What's the yardstick?
Typically these questions ask, all things considered, how happy are you?
And over time, who has actually answered these questions?
So in the United States, the General Social Survey's been asking people about how happy they are, and it's been asking it pretty consistently. They aim for a representative snapshot of the population, about 1,500 people a year.
What makes people happy? Is it about things? What is happiness for you, for Betsey, the economics professor? How do you define it? What makes you happy?
The things that make me happy are the same things that make everybody else happy. Time with your family, time to enjoy your life. And frankly, it's pretty easy to see that income allows you to get more of those things.
Plenty of food, clean water, transportation, access to health care.
Americans have also gotten healthier. They're not just getting more years, but they're getting more healthy years. So we would expect there to be some sort of increase in happiness that comes from that. Well, what income does is gives you more choices to choose the type of life that you want. If you believe that, income gives you the opportunity to make the best choice and gives you, the more income you have, the more choices you can possibly make.
And knowing that money can buy happiness has profound implications for everything from foreign aid to tax policy.
That tells us that we don't want to jump too fast at policies that try to discourage people from working or economic growth.
Does money buy happiness then?
You know, we're finding that money buys happiness, but you know what? Money doesn't buy love.
Still, based on income, the folks who live in this neighborhood of manicured lawns and tree-lined streets should be very happy indeed. I'm John Donvan for Nightline in Chevy Chase, Maryland.